Today's all about the Winterhaven method, so named after the hometown of the creator of what I'm about to teach you, a gentleman called Dean Jackson. And when I say, I'm very careful about when I use the phrase game changer. I take that declaration incredibly seriously. When I call something a game changer, I truly like it's my reputation over the years. I'm very useful at. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not very useful at very many things at all. Like I'm particularly pathetic at most things, but there is one thing that I take immense pride in, and that is identifying technology trends and marketing trends that will become the mainstream. And I genuinely believe in what I'm talking about with you guys today, that it's going to absolutely be that. This is a game changer for email marketing, and I'm so excited to bring it to you today. First of all, though, when we look at where we've been, like think about all the journey that we've gone on together so far in identifying, think of all the things that you've overcome, in identifying a market, which is such a huge hurdle, then learning the pains, gains, and jobs to be done in the market, which is usually quite pleasurable, then setting up the funnel and all the technology, which can be a super challenge for people as well, getting a privacy page and download, and then we, starting getting leads from our Facebook ad, and it's been so exciting to watch. And thank you for those of you who shared your Facebook ads with me. It's fascinating to see and to give feedback on. But we've been getting those leads. Now, of course, this is where the rubber hits the road, because we're going to start interacting with people in our marketplace. That potentially can be a little bit terrifying, but if we look at what we're comparing this to and how we worked in the past, this is so superior. And this is something I've been working on with my private clients and indeed myself. I have completely changed the way I interact with you guys, with my market, based on this methodology. And like I said, I am so excited to bring it to you today. So let's get started, as the YouTubers say. First of all, what are the problems? What are the challenges here that we have to sort of negate? If we're going to design a game-changing email system, one of the huge challenges is autoresponder hell. The typical process, including what I taught for years, mind you, is that when you get somebody's email, you take them through some sort of sequence, very famous sequences, things like the soap opera sequence, which our Andre Chaperon, which is a brilliant sequence. You take them through a particular sequence of educating them and letting them know who you are and maybe selling products and all of that. But here's the deal, right? You actually had to buy an autoresponder, and let's face it, these days, to get any sort of decent autoresponder, you can start out with MailChimp for free, but as soon as you start, using something like I use, like an Actionetics or Aweber or any of those sorts of programs, you're quickly you're spending $100, $200, $300 a month in just maintaining something which you haven't even run a single client through. Plus, before you even turn on the advertising, remember, we've already turned on our advertising. Before you turn on the advertising, we have this extraordinary situation where we have to create this entire funnel and this entire sequence, which just, again, pushes out the time till we can get in the market, and it just creates that particular challenge. Then, of course, we're still in the situation. Hopefully, by now we've gotten a little bit better. We're starting to read the forums and the Facebook groups and the Reddits and all the different areas where we researched back when we were looking at pains, gains, and jobs to be done in week 3 of the process. But it's genuinely, at this point, it's absolutely standard for you, particularly in a new market, that you just don't know anything yet. Still. And then you're saying, hang on a second, Ed, we've got to interact and try to help this market, which I barely know. I'm interested in, I'm fascinated about, I'm passionate about, but I am no expert. So we've got to understand that that is where you are coming from. Okay, there's still a lot of issues around that. And of course, we're still involved in neck deep. The traditional way of doing this in setting up our funnels and our autoresponders and making sure everything is all set up and done is that we're up to our necks in tech still. We still haven't spoken to a single potential tribe member, a single client, a single customer, we haven't talked to anybody in our marketplace. And if there's one thing that we know from the world of lean and the world of software development and the way the world has radically changed in terms of product design, we have to be speaking to our market at the earliest possible process. Yet traditional internet marketing methods, as taught by most people, including me for over a decade, has meant that at this point, weeks into the process, we still haven't had a conversation with a single person. And if you don't get your autoresponder set up and your funnels set up and all these sorts of things, it may be weeks into the future before you speak to somebody. And that, your enthusiasm fuel tank, your enthusiasm bank account gets extremely depleted because there's just been no interaction with your tribe. You're wondering what you're operating in a vacuum. And of course, what happens when you operate in a vacuum? You've got all this extraordinary uncertainty that you're dealing with. And what do we know about uncertainty? It's our enemy number one. And the only way we can get rid of uncertainty is by interacting with our marketplace. We can't get rid of uncertainty by reading, really. That is education. But the absolute ultimate way to get rid of uncertainty is, well, I just ran a Facebook lead gen, and this happened during the week for most of you, and it's extraordinary. I love it. Wow, yes, people are actually interested. They're putting their hand up. They're saying, yes, give me that Sage doc, please. I'm interested in it. All of a sudden, you've gone from, are anybody interested in this? You're building up certainty. And even if the ad didn't work, well, that particular approach to the marketplace didn't work, so let's go back and retool it and let's figure it out. We're in the market, we're learning things, so that's so important. But I've got to tell you, the biggest fear right now is it just gets to the point, think of all the things that you have overcome, and I'm so proud of you for doing this. Market selection, tech stuff, funnel building, lead gen. You are so far already from where you were when you started this process. Yet, designing a traditional funnel where you are in theory convincing people to buy something from you, or you're doing things and you don't know what you're really talking about at this point, if you're an enthusiast, if you're a journey style marketer, it's just a bridge too far. And it's just, you say, well, why am I doing this? If you're a high fact finder, why am I doing all of this stuff? I just have no idea. I'll judiciously do it, but why am I doing all of this stuff? It just makes, it just becomes literally a bridge too far. Does that sort of make sense to you guys? Is that outlining the fears and frustrations you have at this point? Feel free to pop it in the question box there. I'd love to get your feedback on this. So, what if we were designing the perfect system? The system that gets us into the market most quickly and most effectively. What's something that I guarantee every single one of you can do? Right? We have to not create any more tech. We can't load you up with any more technology. We've got to avoid that bridge too far feeling. So we need to look at, and thank you, Mary and Pete, appreciate that feedback. No responders required. At this point, I don't want you to spend any money on an autoresponder or anything like that, because we don't know whether this market is going to work or not, or we don't know how we're going to unlock this market. You just don't need it. So imagine if there was a process where all we had to do was not use a autoresponder, not create a funnel, not create any of those sorts of things. And you might be saying, hang on, Ed, but you did get us to create a funnel a couple of weeks ago. Well, when you think about it, I got you to create 3 pages, right? When I talk about a funnel in the true sense of the word, what I'm referring to here is not only the opt-in page, the thank you page, and the download page, but think about all the emails that many of you have had to create over the, this autoresponder sequence of a series of emails, convincing people of your expertise or of your enthusiasm, of your interest in the market to get them to know you, or indeed selling something if you're an expert already or you've already got a product. All of that. So we don't want any of that because we just testing at this point. So we don't want to do that. And we've just slashed, literally for most of you, weeks off this process. That would be the awesome thing. Then wouldn't it be brilliant? And I was reminded of this. Actually, I was reading Expert Secrets, Russell Brunson's book, and I'm reading it along, and there's my name. And it reminds me of something that, way back at the dawn of time of internet marketing, a methodology Frank Kern and I created where we just had this, crazy idea is what happens if you asked a question of your market, hey, what's your greatest challenge in X? And they would tell you, right? This ask method, it was just that was a game changer at its time. But we sort of gotten away from this. And imagine if now we could get your tribe members to teach you, to tell you what their challenges are, and to do it in such a way where it's not about your expertise, it's not about your knowledge on a subject. You can be completely clueless, but still help people out. I know it sounds crazy, but when I show this to you, it's a revolution. It is an absolute revolution. So imagine if we have designed the process and the market teaches us. And then, as I said, no tech required. If the only thing that you need, can you send an email? And here's the thing. I know every single one of you listening to this right now can send an email because you wouldn't be here without the ability to at least send an email. So if you can send an email, that's it. Right? That is the technology that's required to finalize our testing. I've already asked you to do enough when it comes to tech, to create your download page, to create your opt-in page, to create your thank you page. Ivan just sent me a message saying some emails longer than others. No, Ivan, you are super capable of doing emails. But this is the amazing thing, right? This is the amazing thing. Wouldn't it be awesome if you just communicated with your tribe, just like you communicated with your friends, something that you're already naturally doing. So there's no more barriers. There's no more bridge too fars. Well, that's what I want to show you today. Because the fundamental thing is we can start helping people in literally 48 hours from when we run our ad. This is crazy. Now, instant alert. Instant belief just smashed into your system, and I want to just kill it on the spot. You say, well, hang on, Ed, how can I help people? I don't know anything in about this. I don't know anything in my market. Here's the deal. Have you ever gone out to with a friend who's got a life situation and who has a problem, and you've gone and had a coffee with them, and you've just listened, and you've just provided, an ear to let them vent, to let them get their system out? I want to hear, give me the feedback in the questions here. I want to, you haven't had experience in this situation. It may be a terrible situation. It may be, they're dealing with depression, or there's some situation that they're dealing with that you personally have no experience, but they desperately wanted a shoulder to lean on, a shoulder to cry on, as their saying goes. Has this ever happened to you? Right? You're no expert in the area. You are no thing. But at the end of that coffee, has the friend hugged you and said, oh, thank you so much just for listening. I just needed somebody to listen. What a gift in this world where everybody's broadcasting all the time, and sending things at you all the time. What a gift you give people just by listening. Yeah, and Neil says listening is more powerful than talking. Yes, Ivan says being present is often so much more important. Absolutely, that the gift of presence in this day and age. This is a thing. Mary's saying, I'm good at this listening. That's right. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're listening to this right now, you have above average empathy skills. And that's what I mean by helping people. Do you see where I'm going with this? Just by providing an ear or an email ear, you are providing enormous good in this world. Right? And that's how you can start helping people. Is this starting to get a bit exciting for you? I hope so, because this changes everything. All right. This is the most important thing, right? This is, Nadia is saying, my energy is lifted after all the tech. This is absolutely right. Because here's the deal, right? If you are interacting with somebody, if you are even just providing an ear via email, you're doing something. You're doing something in your new market. And that is phenomenal that we know. Like, this is the science. You have an enthusiasm fuel tank. You have a willpower fuel tank. And you know what? Absolutely fills that tank, guaranteed, scientifically proven. Any interaction you have with a tribe. I got 2 emails the other day. You know, one was a phone call, voicemail message from Lee Karaoke. Awesome name, right? That's why I can remember it so well. And he just called up. It was his birthday, and he called me, and he just wanted to thank me for everything that I'd done. And oh my goodness, I felt so good to get this voicemail, right, from Lee, somebody I don't know personally, but he, on his birthday, decided he would call me and thank me for all that I've done. Then, literally, not 2 hours later, I got an email from another client of mine who came to a seminar, actually here in Orlando, 4 years ago, and he is in the aloe vera. Is his area. He does creates aloe vera products, and he is now, $1 million plus business and a huge influencer in the market. And he just sent an email out of the blue thanking me for his help. That is incredible. Like, I live for that. People say, why do you teach? Why do you do this when you could just be making money? It's a classic thing. That's why. Because that keeps you going. That is, is incredible. And I know, just like making your first dollar, how when I interview experts and ask about their first dollar, how they can tell that story to me in intimate, intrinsic detail. Same here when you are interacting with somebody, just by answering questions, just by receiving that email reply. Oh, look, I am just starting from scratch. That is a huge moment. That is a huge moment. Every bit as psychologically powerful as earning your first dollar. And if I can get you doing that in 48 hours, once you've learnt this process, then I know you're going to have the willpower and enthusiasm. You're going to get that refilled fuel tank, and that will keep you going so that you get through the inevitable dips. Because if you're working with tribe members, if you're working with tech, it's you versus the technology. If you're wrestling with an autoresponder and wondering why after you'd spent months building this stuff, you're still wrestling with that technology, well, that is where you get the problems, right? That is where everything goes wrong. And this way, with this new Winterhaven method, within 48 hours, you're getting those constant injections of enthusiasm because you're interacting with your marketplace. You're doing something. And that is so genuinely exciting.